wondered how to become a top influencer?
I never really did real therapy for me. I always used, I know this is going to be a surprise, comedy and jokes to deal with hard feelings. So we all know if we don't deal with things, they'll come and get you. I don't like to leave my house, Celeste. So I thought, what can I do? Long story short, I woke up on a Sunday night out of a dead sleep, had a Bible, and said,
Have you ever wondered how to become a top influencer? Maybe on TikTok or Instagram? Well, today I have Lori Altermann with us today, and she became TikTok famous, like pretty much overnight. And we're going to talk to her today about how do you show up as your best self and how do you get that much momentum in that quick of a time. So Lori, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Celeste, it's my absolute honor and privilege.
So I have a question for you because I was really confused on, I see you have Altermann and I see you have Aronsky. So can you tell me a little bit about what do you prefer to be called and why?
I'm having trouble figuring out who I am, Celeste. And so if I have lots of different names, it helps. The real truth is that I started on social media October of 2023.
Okay.
I have two daughters. At the time, they were 20 and 24. And they were so humiliated by the fact that mommy was on TikTok that they first told me to quit. And then they said, but at least just change your name. So I changed it to my maiden name and I added an N. And now everyone's happy.
Okay. That's,
I know. F them.
you're like, okay. So now Altermann is, so you are a young midlife, beautiful woman. And what made you start, how did you want to start being on TikTok or a celebrity on TikTok?
It's a great question and one I'll answer.
Okay.
I am 56, and as a young person around 20 years old, I was on the track and I always wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. And so the way to do it, the path was and still is to do stand-up comedy, improv, acting, all of it. So I did it all and never really wanted to get married or have kids because I don't like kids, babies, old people, real plants, fake plants, anything that's living. And at some point, I was doing well, and I met a few women. This was in probably the early 90s who were on Saturday Night Live as writers, and they were miserable. So before Me Too, when things were fun, it was even worse, obviously. And it was a boys' club, and it was very, it wasn't a healthy environment for women. SNL, they were struggling to get their writing on, absolutely struggling to get them on, and the hours were horrible, and it was a turnoff. At the same time, I fell in love with a man, and he was living in New York, so I was able to still have my foot in the door to stand up and clubs and that world, but I fell in love, and the danger to making money, I was also to feed myself on the side of doing entertainment. I was selling radio and TV advertising and doing really well. So I fell into, well, this is so much easier, making so much money. Why don't I just get married? And I did, and I didn't have any regrets. That was 1996. We got married, and at some point, I still didn't want kids because they're loud and they need things. And then my best friend had a baby girl, and I was like, I want one. So then I had one, and I had never babysat, held a baby, and it was really humbling. So I spent probably 24 years being a mom, an amazing role. It was really hard for me. It didn't come natural, not a popular thing to say, but it was the greatest story, is the greatest story of my life. I have two daughters, as I said, and I didn't work the whole time. I couldn't have handled it. I was overwhelmed. And didn't miss working, didn't miss entertainment, and didn't think much about it for about 20-something years. During that time, I hadn't thought, what am I going to do for my second chapter, my second act? I just wanted to get through the day. Motherhood is very hard if you do it right, if you care. And the year that I empty nested, my last one flew the coop. The dog died, we moved. I had a nervous breakdown. And what that looked like for me was for the whole time of parenting, we got therapy as a family for all kinds of just, garden variety family stuff or some stuff that was a little bit more tricky. I had 2 sick kids, but I never really did real therapy for me. I always used, I know this is going to be a surprise, comedy and jokes to deal with hard feelings. So to avoid the real issues, I would just make a Lori show and joke about it and nothing to see here. And it came back to bite me. So we all know if we don't deal with things, they'll come and get you.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a real breakdown, Celeste, like mentally. I wanted to go to Malibu to a rehab, obviously, but they only do addiction. They don't do just like broken, depressed, messed up people. And I was like, I can get an addiction, just 3 martinis away from one. So I ended up not going to Malibu. I mean, I went to Nobi there recently. It was delicious. But I didn't go to rehab there. I found what's called a trauma therapist. And my friend, that is not, just sit here like we're doing, talk about. It is exposure. It is real work. It is painful. It is, we're not going to use your jokes. We're going to not drive by places that freak you out because of trauma maybe you had. And it was a 1.5 years. And it was the most difficult thing I've done. On the other side of it, I was and am a new person. I don't use jokes unless I feel like being funny now. If I don't feel like putting on the Lori show, there's no Lori show. Took a while for my family and friends to get used to maybe we're at dinner and I don't feel like being funny. But you asked what made me get on TikTok. So when that was done, I thought, wow, what am I going to do? People were saying, go back to stand-up. You should do writing, do a podcast. I don't like to leave my house, Celeste.
Yeah.
Ever. So I thought, what can I do? Long story short, I woke up on a Sunday night out of a dead sleep, hand to Bible, and said, I'm going to do TikTok. I was a huge consumer. I had never used a laptop, a computer. I'd never filmed a video on my phone. My technology knowledge would fit in the top of my pinky. And my husband, who's a doctor and very scientific in a box, said, are you out of your mind? What are you going to do? And I said at the time, I love makeup, beauty. I'm a breast cancer survivor. I don't have tits. It's unusual, but I'd like to put a face to feeling sexy and pretty the way I am at 50 years old. Maybe I was 51. The next day, I went online. I found a college student to come to my house. She and I are the most unlikely pair. She is 10 times my height. She is adorable. She is very young. And I said, how do you open the app of TikTok? I knew how to watch it, but I didn't know how to film. And it was October 2023. And I sat there, the only way to do something well, and this is public, so it's a little differently, is you're going to be cringy.
Yeah.
There's not a job that you start that you're not going to look back and go, oh, and it was cringy.
100%.
Really cringy. And I just kept making content. And what I would say is my intention was to do breast cancer and beauty, but I'm just so funny that the humor came out and my SNL desire came out and I started doing skits and I started doing content that I thought was funny. And that's when my kids and husband were like, what are you doing? You're making a fool out of yourself. But I was resonating with women. And actually not just women, young girls. Me being authentic, me showing that it doesn't matter, life is short. It just sort of snowballed. And I was getting a lot out of it. The thing I didn't bank on was the community of these women and people, not just women, that needed to feel like I have these thoughts, I have these fears, I have these desires, it's okay. And then it just started where I went on Instagram. YouTube's been huge. I have a podcast now. My real desire is to tap into celebrity energy. Fame's a really dirty word and it shouldn't be. And I wanted to be famous. I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm claiming it now at 56 and I'm feeling good about it. And I'm feeling good about having an influence that's positive and giving hope to people. And that is how I got on TikTok.
Well, I fucking love that.
Thank you.
Yes. And, everyone listening, we met through a mutual friend, the beautiful Whitney Yulin. And, she had said, Celeste, I want you to come to LA. I need you to style me for a shoot. I want you to meet Lori. Like, we're going to do this shoot together.
Well, let's tell them who Whitney is, because that's how I met Whitney was. This is
Please
amazing.
do.
You go on TikTok or any social media app, and there's a business for everything. There's an entire industry of people who mentor, teach, coach influencers on how to monetize, which I've had that coaching on social media. And in Whitney's case, how to tap into celebrity energy. So she works with real celebrities, right? Real famous people, and people like myself who are like, I want to be famous. Is it right? How do you do it? How do you do it right? And she is outstanding. That's how I met her, and that's how we met. But it just goes to say, you don't know where the path's going to take you.
100%.
Crazy.
It's crazy. It's like, I think when you dial into, like, you listened, you woke up that morning and you were like, or that night, and you were dialing into, I'm going to do this. I know it's outside the box of being, funny. It's not SNL, but it's a platform for what I imagine was for you to be and express who you are, your feelings, all the things. And I think that's such a cool avenue for you. And I think when we push ourselves out of the box, like, what this is supposed to look like. Nothing is supposed to look like anything. You get to do the uncomfortable things. You get to try the different things. And I love that about you, and about how how you showed up was just who you really were. And you allowed other people to connect with that. And that's under like just over a year. That's really incredible. And I give you so much love and applause, because that's no feat. Especially when you have gone through the things that you've gone through, that's very powerful.
Look, I mean, you can look at your life and you can say, what will I wish I would have done? And that's what keeps me in this game, is if tomorrow was the last day, I would eat a lot of nachos. When I say a lot, and I would look back and say, oh God, I didn't try the thing I wanted to. And there's a lot of pushback as women, for me. A woman didn't work. This isn't what my friends and family were used to. It's a very unusual thing to do at this age. So to your point, the discomfort kind of makes you feel alive.
Oh, girl, you nailed it. You nailed it. How I met Whitney, we both just spoke in Las Vegas. She's been an actress for a long time. Yes, a legitimate actress. She has been in this industry where very comfortable in front of the camera, where I'm complete opposite.
You wouldn't know it.
Here, I'm good. I've gotten more comfortable with it because I've pushed and pushed and pushed, because I want to do things that make me uncomfortable. But I didn't think that I could ever talk on stage in front of a big audience. Oh. And so the reason why I did this speaking engagement was just to see if I could fucking do it.
Wow.
And I did. And it was like the most exhilarating thing. I never thought, I was like, oh, maybe I'll speak again. Maybe I'll speak again. But that's where I met Whitney. And she, being in front of the camera for so long, never spoke either. And so her and I really connected as two individuals with our stories and being mothers and all the things, you just don't realize at the time. And I was just like, oh, that was your first time? Are you kidding me? You were so natural on stage. So it's interesting that I didn't know that was a personal journey for her to push herself to.
I didn't either.
Nor did maybe someone know that about me as well.
Well, having seen videos of you guys doing it, I would have thought you're teaching that.
Yeah. So pretty cool. Getting uncomfortable was the growing. That's where you grow. And I always quote this because it's just one of my favorite. It's, David Goggins. He always says, get comfortable with being uncomfortable every day. And I make this a mission, even if it's the little things, meeting someone new, even if it's a little uncomfortable, because there's so much reward, in my opinion, on the other side. And I see that with you.
Well, I had a professor in college. I went to Georgia, go Dogs. And it was our last class, senior year journalism class. And he said, if I could teach you guys one thing, and this resonated, he said, no one cares about you but your mama. And she don't even care that much. So what does that mean? That means you think everyone's looking at you.
Yeah.
You think everyone's judging. You think everyone's thinking about you. If you can go into situations, no one's looking. You might as well go for it. There's nothing to be that worried about with what the world thinks, because they're just thinking about themselves, even your mama.
It's a great advice. Great advice. Okay, so let's give the audience here maybe 3 tips that they can use to start showing up more authentically on TikTok or Instagram or wherever your social media interest lies.
I would say this for sure. I look at the camera when I'm, whatever it is I'm on, and I feel, and I think this really is very helpful, I'm doing a FaceTime with my best friend. So if I'm doing a FaceTime with my best friend, I'm not going, hey guys, I'm Lori. It's crazy how you need to have color in your hair. I wouldn't do that. I'd be like, oh my God, this color. Why are these white wiries coming out? Well, it's a very different way to show up, that you're just FaceTiming a friend and not thinking about, I'm looking at millions of people. That's what resonates with all kinds of entertainment now, is you feel like you know them and you're not being sold and you're not being rehearsed. I'm unusual. I don't write anything. I barely think about it before I turn on the camera. And I think it's kind of a good strategy. You don't have time to think about it. If you're doing a FaceTime, if me and you later, I'm like, I think this shirt looks weird on me. What the heck's going on? I wouldn't be like, hi, Celeste, this shirt feels weird. Sometimes I don't like it. So that's number one.
Okay.
Show up like you're on a FaceTime and then solve a problem. Okay. So what is a problem I have? I have a problem. Let's just go with the hair. I could get my hair dyed this afternoon. Okay. By tonight, the white wiry hair comes out. So here's the problem. People must have it. If you have the problem, they have the problem. What is the solution? I can't believe I get my hair dyed on a Friday night. The white wiries are coming out. This high boldified, I just threw you a bone there. I can't believe this stuff. You put it on like most powders, colors. Right. It doesn't get all over you. Yeah, I don't look like Groucho Marx. You talk about a problem. Here's the solution. Okay. Here's it in action. And if you're not selling something, what is a problem? I was a mom who didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. My story is this. And you tell your story that solved the problem. So you show up like it's a FaceTime. You go on and you solve a problem. It doesn't have to be a product. It can be, I never felt pretty after I had my breast removed for cancer. And this is what I do. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it works for me. And then I think the third thing is, don't judge what you're doing. Don't be so hard. If it's something that you would like to see, then just do it. Even sometimes I do stuff from like, I think this is hilarious. I don't know if anyone else does, or I think this is a really important. Sometimes, a lot of times it fails. It bombs, but it's an algorithm. Can't take it personally. I'm going to give you a fourth one for free.
Okay.
Do not take, whether you're in social media or you're doing whatever it is. It ain't that serious. It ain't that deep. And it's not personal.
Yeah.
It's not personal.
Well, I really love these tips because, my clients, they're entrepreneurs, they're out there, they're wanting to be seen I think is probably the biggest struggle, right? They get themselves into Forbes magazine or on stages they're speaking or, whatever it is. Like, so it's not just the personal branding, but this is where I dial into this authenticity from the inside out. And I think you're also, and for what I'm hearing is like, get on there and be yourself. Like because you're going to connect with people that will come to you, and then you're going to not connect, and those aren't your clients anyway.
The brands that you really love, it's the story. When you go to a restaurant, think about it, and they're on the menus, the story of you're like, wow, there's something about the connection. So if you're in Forbes magazine, but you're telling me a story, let's say you work for the table company, and you tell me I love a backstory. People love documentaries. They like reality TV. So if that person can show up and tell their story, I promise it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you're also connecting. This is something. Okay. So what is your biggest maybe aha moment, or maybe something that you discovered with this process? Like, what if you're like, oh my God, I never expected this outcome from doing TikTok for a year and being where you're at? What could you say is like one or two, like some of your biggest, like, aha, like, wow.
The first thing that comes to mind is it's such an overused word. Now we've used it a few times on this podcast. Connection. Listen, I'm too cool for school. I'm like, I don't like people. I don't like neighbors. I don't like. I am shocked that this parasocial relationship is real. Like, I have followers who I adore, who I have real connections with, who I've met in person. That has been an aha. You could poo-poo all you want, like it's not real. It's pretty real. And I guess the opposite of that is how many people need people like us. So when I have, this is so humbling, I have someone write, I was feeling horrible, lonely, sad, hopeless. And when you come up on my For You page, or me and my daughter weren't getting along, we watch your stuff. I was shocked about that part of it. Really, both aha and both about community and connection.
Yeah.
And how bad makeup. Some people just don't know how to do their makeup. That was shocking. But it's great because I'm here to help.
Yes. So what's the most fun thing that I don't know, maybe it's all fun, but like, could you say like one or two things that like you really, really enjoy doing on that as TikTok as a platform? Like, what are some of your favorite things?
On TikTok, I love doing anything funny.
Okay.
Now, again, algorithm. So what an algorithm is, for people to know, it's just an AI, really, pushing out whatever is going on at the time. So during the election, during some sports thing, during so you may not get pushed out if I'm doing a funny skit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. But to me, I love doing the funny. I love doing that. YouTube, I'm having a great time doing. I react to a beauty hack and then I do it myself. And this is a great lesson too. I'm so stubborn or not stubborn. So we all do, as we get older, get stubborn. I never watched YouTube. I knew nothing about it. It's the biggest social media platform, period. Mic drop. I'm not going to drop that. Break. And I was very resistant. I had a few of my managers saying, you must. It's the most money that you get. So I reluctantly went on it. I love it now.
So that's your favorite?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but the point is, be open-minded. And the thing I love most on that is not what I love most on TikTok and Instagram. I was also like, I like Instagram. That's my weird influencer voice. I don't want to go on, but I'm kind of enjoying that. They each are their own family. I'll always have the most special feeling for my first, and that's TikTok. But what I like on each is all different. But on TikTok, I love doing, and I do love when people really want information, whether it's cancer or plastic surgery or makeup, and I can really help them.
Yeah.
That was shocking because I'm really selfish. So I'm shocked that maybe I'm not. I mean, I still am, but I'm not as selfish as I thought with strangers.
Well, I think from what I'm hearing is that you're getting all of this really good community and people want to hear you and you're like, what? And so, yeah, so you're sharing more because you're getting good feedback, right? From, oh, well, that helped me, this helped my daughter, or whatever situation. And that's got to be really rewarding.
It really is. And TikTok right now has a feature. This is really interesting. They'll probably all get it, called Creator Search Insights.
Okay.
And what it is, so TikTok is the biggest resource for information. It's outsurpassed Google now. I know. People go to TikTok and write in, like, I have a sty. I hope you can't see it.
No.
But how do I cure a sty? And so now you can put in there what's trending or what people are searching for. So knowing that it is a research and an information platform, I'm feeding into that saying, what can I offer someone, like how to dress after not having reconstruction, I had a child with a brain injury and was in and I love that I can give hope and support and information. That's been a surprise.
Wow.
What's the best way to contour to give a chiseled face? So know that about TikTok, all of them, but really TikTok.
Yeah. That's surprising only to the fact that I thought it was YouTube.
It's becoming TikTok.
Interesting. Well, I hope TikTok stays around.
Me too. I mean, from your mouth to, yeah.
Oh, and I think also for people that I, my clients, I guess, let's go with that, is that there's a lot of midlife people that aren't really that comfortable with social media. So maybe they pick one platform, maybe two. What would you recommend for somebody how to navigate? Because if you look at all of them and you want to do all of them, it's a little overwhelming. In my opinion. So what would you recommend for someone that's maybe just like really wanting to dive in into the social media market to really brand themselves.
I would agree. You don't want to take on more than you can chew at first.
Okay.
You can't be great at all of them. And they're very different animals. So I personally would pick the one that you love. So I loved TikTok and I picked that. But if you're an Instagram person, you'll pick Instagram. There is a point in which you can repurpose your content on all of it, but I would start real nice and slow and be consistent.
Yeah, that's definitely key.
The more content you make, the better you're going to be.
Okay.
So this is not unfortunately, but the only way to get better, it's almost like driving, which is crazy. You learn to drive in a car. It's kind of weird that you're on a highway with all these people. You learn how to get better at social media by being in front of millions of people. There's just no other way.
Yeah. No, that's really good advice. I think it can be really overwhelming. But yeah, think about your avatar, like where's your client at? So I think that's helpful too. But is there, in your opinion, is there platforms that move you along faster than others?
That's a great question. So the TikTok of the pandemic, I mean, that was, in my case, it was the 60s that I missed. And that I wish I was a hippie and I was around at the time of, the pandemic TikTok. It was pushing out. You were becoming viral. You were becoming famous. It's a little slow grow now on the old TikTok, but not to say that how about this? The goal is not to go viral. The goal is not how many followers. It's engagement. It's community. So I'm going to kind of backtrack. I would say as long as you are building a community, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So I don't want you to get your head in how many followers, how many likes. It's hard. Yeah. How many people are showing up time and time again? And it's happening on YouTube now. It's a very weird feeling. I'm like, but I'm TikTok. If you build a community, the brands will come, the people will come. So I don't know who pushes you the most, but all the platforms push great content.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's also important to know that it doesn't happen overnight. You're on there to build a community. You're on there to show up as who you are so that people can engage with you. And, there's another thing about TikTok I have heard recently that they want authenticity. That is such a key factor. And it's taken me personally a long time. I'm just very new to TikTok, so please don't go. I think maybe I have 200 followers, but Instagram
doesn't matter.
Right. Instagram is just getting up to 12,000. So it's just, it's me being consistent. It is me showing up, and people now, with all the things that have been going on with the business, my business growth, people are like, oh, so it's showing them the journey, right? Behind the scenes. It's the journey.
That's real.
Yes. Because people want to see, I'm not perfect. I don't wake up every day looking like this. This is makeup and hair. Thank you. So that, obviously I'm in front of a camera and I want to look good, and I'm an image consultant, so I always need to look good, but I don't wake up like this. I wake up ugly like everybody else, or I have things that, make me uncomfortable. Maybe we're not all ugly.
I have a lot of people who judge. By the way, I love hate. I love the judging. How do you show up with no makeup on? I'm like, because I don't wear makeup all day and night.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what I like. And it's not that TikTok likes authentic. People want authentic.
True. Yeah.
They do. And so to see a stylist be like, I actually hate my outfit today. Like, that would be great content.
That's true.
And then you talk about why.
Yeah.
Why this doesn't work for me.
Right. Well, I hope after 18 years I know what the fuck I'm doing. But I don't always, because I'm not perfect.
To show that because...
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm learning, obviously, from my guests here today.
Right. Because we think, because I'm a person that needs a stylist, it doesn't come natural to me, that you always get it right. And you can't. Or why you get it right is always interesting, too. Like, wow, yeah, that's interesting that there was someone who was really, I'm not going to use a name, showed up the other day somewhere in total fashion.
Okay.
Like real fashion.
Yeah.
And I wondered why it worked. And it worked because she was so confident in it. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
So that's, again, speaking to the authentic. Why is that weird outfit But it did because she was so confident in it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's really important. It's like what I do is try to bring that authenticity out, because there's nothing more confident than knowing yourself and being comfortable in your own skin. And it shows. It shows so, like, it's almost like you're shining, and people see that and they're like, oh, I want that. I want that. I want that shiny, that, oh, that smile, that whatever she has, that it factor.
Yeah.
I want that.
And you see celebrities show up on red carpets and beautiful clothing, and something's not right. I think it's that.
Oh, or it's the stylist.
Or that.
It's putting them in the wrong
Or that.
color. This drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. It just
Right.
dropped that a little
They
bit.
got it from whoever, and it's free. I'm
Yeah.
speaking to this celebrity that you can feel
Yeah.
they're not confident right now.
True. True. Aren't you glad you're in this space right now?
Love it. I mean, I'm meeting people like you.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Who knew we'd be sitting here in the middle of Hollywood?
Where we both don't live, by the way.
both don't
We're
live.
both out of state.
And just it's opportunities. I'm open-minded. Stay open-minded. You never know. So when people say, where do you want to go? Not sure.
Yeah. I love your story.
Thank you.
Really, really, you are inspiring. And if you don't already follow her, I'm going to let her say this at the end. But, you know, I would say that the biggest thing I've learned from you, and this is just a short time that I've worked with you, not even worked, but like just as, you know, having this relationship, has been that you say it like it is. And I'm like, that's when I lived in New York, that East Coast. I love that shit, because just do the thing. And you live in that like every day.
I do. I try to be kind with it, but my thing is, don't ask if you don't want the answer. And so in working, so can I tell my story about you is that I love fashion. I don't quite know what I'm doing. And the myths that I thought that you're breaking, I can only wear monochromatic, and skinny jeans look better. And I look better if I have a V-neck. That's been fast. This journey with you is life-changing, because fashion's about proportion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about colors. And this has been a world of interesting to me.
I'm so glad.
Really, like what you do is next level special.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to make a difference. I want to educate.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be like, oh, this just works because, just because I said so. It's like the parents, right? Just do it because I said so. I want to tell you, I want to teach you, I want to show you the difference, and let you kind of have that self-discovery, that aha moment, because that's truly when the transformation happens.
I'm getting rid of all my skinny jeans.
Yes.
And Celeste showed me in a mirror the difference. It's crazy.
Oh, I'm so happy.
And there's a
for you.
science.
There is it's art and science. And I think even for me, getting re-educated was like a whole like, oh shit, it's deeper. It's deeper than just like, oh, that's a good color or that's a pretty sweater. I mean, it's so next, you know, it's layer after layer. It's that personality DNA. It's finding what's on your body or skin. I mean, it's just awesome. And I'm so happy to be able to do that for you. And yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, I feel real lucky and excited we're doing this photo shoot to see what it looks like. And there's a very big difference between what looks good in pictures, too.
Yes. So 100%, but we're going to make you look fabulous. So you're going to have to stay tuned for this next level photo shoot, because who did you want to look like but be in the same style as you are? Like, you know, talk about
Well,
that. Well,
ironically, Jackie O and Carolyn Bessette, so just two of my icons in fashion.
Yeah.
I do love Audrey Hepburn too, but I like a classic, timeless, elegant, effortless look.
Yeah. And just for you that don't know, I did her colors and style before I met her, and her body analysis. And her style is elegant and
weird.
dramatic.
Weird.
A little bit of dramatic in there too, but it's in the very most subtle way. No, it doesn't. Like, it's exactly what she likes, and it's exactly who she is. So it was just like really dialing in those pieces to how, like, to bring that out when I was doing.
What do you do when someone wants to look like, let's just say Marilyn Monroe, but they come up and you're like, oh, you're like a flower child?
Yeah. Well, you said that. It is, we all have about 4 different personality styles.
Okay.
We have a dominant, a secondary, a third, and a fourth. That third and fourth is probably that Marilyn, right? That little like, I want to come out and feel sexy and bougie, but it's just for like a photo shoot versus like, I want to show up that way every day. Maybe I want to go to a gala one night and feel the little Marilyn. But primarily, she's a boho chic woman.
Okay.
Second, maybe she's classic or sporty. And then that third or that fourth, it's a little of, a little drama, right? So we all have about 4, but we live in the first and second mostly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I think it's really cool to understand who you are more and more, just like you, like understanding the things that make you excited or authentic or show up within your social media platforms, and bring your funniness, because you're so funny and people love that, but you're real. That's who you are.
I love learning too that color means something. So ever since we've met, it's been like a week.
No, it's been
she's taught me which it sounds like hokey pokey, like whippy dippy, that a color means something. But now when I do content, I think about the colors that I'm wearing, and there's a real reason.
Yeah. So all colors, I mean, they're energy, and there's color psychology behind it. So wait till I give you your color wheel. I have it with me to show you so that you can read the back of every color on there, and you're going to like, oh, I know what my message is today, and I know who my audience is, and I'm going to land what I say 10 times harder than if I wore a different color.
I love that. Yeah, that's information.
That's going to be so good. But anyways, I really want to thank you for coming on here and teaching the audience like how to show up on social media, how to really, dial in a community. Is there anything else that you can, a couple tips or anything that maybe I missed that you really would like to share with the audience here today?
I did. So I've always looked for a coach in anything I've done in my life. I'm very good about asking for help. And when I first went on social media, I reached out to maybe 50 other beauty influencers. And it's funny, naivety sometimes is a blessing. I didn't realize how big some were. Looking back, I'm like, wow, I had balls. Only 2 reached out. One who's major, Erica Taylor. She's a huge beauty influencer, was kind enough to, she's major. She's on the box of L'Oreal products.
Wow.
And my questions were, in the editing, the thing keeps getting stuck on but she was lovely, and we become friendly. And then one other person who's become a friend. So don't be scared. People reach out to me now. Don't be scared, no matter what you're in, to reach out to people who do what you do that you like. So that I tell that to my girls. I say it to everybody. Reach out, because first of all, it's a compliment, and they're already not helping you. So you have nothing to lose.
Oh, I like that.
So that.
Okay. Well, I love that so much, because I think I personally am like, oh, they're too big to reach out. They're never going to answer me. I've reached out to some and they don't. There's crickets, but there's also people that are willing and wanting to help you succeed.
Yeah. And you just don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. So you might as well.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Lori, thank you so much for coming on today's show. Can you tell people where to find you?
So it's Lori Altermann. There's 2 N's, right? The same price. And Lori Altermann Beauty is YouTube, and Instagram and TikTok is just regular Lori Altermann. And then I have my podcast on TikTok and YouTube. What else? What else am I whoring myself out to do? I'm sure I have a Twitter. I didn't even know I had one. But hopefully they'll reach me there, and I'm happy to help in any way.
Awesome. Well, if you guys enjoyed this episode today and you want to learn more about fashion, beauty, image, and how to show up as your best self, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. Thanks, guys.